What's up? What's going on? Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm giving you some tips on how to pick your foundation shade. I know it is tricky right now, all of the foundations that are on the market with many more launching. So let's go ahead and get into it. First things first, analyze yourself, look at yourself in the mirror, figure out, okay, what category do I fall under? Am I light, medium, deep, or dark? Figure out what category you fall under, okay? Once you got that, the next thing you want to do is, sorry, I'm looking down, I've got my notes here. The next thing you want to do is analyze your skin type. What's your skin type? This is super important because when you know your skin type, then you'll be able to pick your formula appropriately. So, are you normal? Are you dry? Are you combination? Are you sensitive? This is important to know because if you are someone who is dry and you go pick up a matte foundation, you are going to hate it. Same thing if you're someone who is oily like me and you're getting a dewy foundation, it's going to be a hot, slippery, Crisco, greasy mess. Your skin will look like you could fry chicken on it, and that is not the move. That ain't cute, that ain't hot, that ain't sexy, alright? So make sure you know your skin type. Next, you need to figure out, alright, what kind of coverage do I want? I feel like this is something that people tend to really forget about, especially whenever there's a new foundation launching. Oh my gosh, here's a new foundation, everybody run, let's pick it up, we need it. No. If you are someone and you know that you do not like full coverage foundation, why are you buying a full coverage foundation? If you are someone and you know you like a little bit more coverage than the average, you like more of a nice beat for the cheap seat, why would you go pick up something that's like, I don't know, a skin tint or something that's going to give you light coverage? Be real with yourself. Look at yourself. What is it that I'm looking for? What's my preference? Do I need to cover something? Am I just trying to enhance my skin a little bit? What is it exactly that you're looking for? So for me, I fall in the dark category. I have oily skin, so therefore I look for something that tends to be a little bit on the mattifying side. In the cooler months, I can go more of with a natural finish or a satin finish, but I tend to stay away from anything that's luminous, anything that's dewy, anything that's glowy, just simply because I have a natural built-in glow, and when I put on something that already has the properties of a glowy look to it, it's just not going to be very pretty. It ain't gonna be a good look. Next up, this is the hardest part. What is your undertone? Undertones are tricky. I talk to my clients a lot about undertone just simply because I feel like that can probably be one of the most important factors when it comes down to your foundation. You can be cool, neutral, or warm. A way to figure out your undertone, you can look at your veins. Surprisingly, mine aren't popping up right now, but if you're someone who has green veins, 9 times out of 10, you are warm, and if you're someone who has more blue veins, you are on the cooler side. Something else that you can do is look at yourself in the mirror. Look at the characteristics of your face. Okay, do I have darker hair? Do I have darker eyes, lighter hair, whatever the case may be? Not necessarily, but most of the time, people that are more on the fair skin, they typically are cooler, not all the time, and same thing on the other spectrum for people who are maybe medium, dark, deep, tend to pull warm. Again, those are exceptions, and that is not always the case because I have a couple of friends who are deeper skin tone and they do pull more neutral. I think that's something that a lot of companies or a lot of people don't realize. So for instance, for me, I'll walk in, they'll see me, okay, you're a black girl, that means you're warm. Yes, I'm warm, however, but what they typically tend to do is give me something that has a red undertone. There is nothing red. If you look at my chest here, my chest area, there is nothing red on my chest. So just because you're black doesn't mean you're going to be a warm undertone. My undertones are more golden, and occasionally I can get away with more of a yellow foundation too, but it gets tricky because I notice like a lot of the yellow undertones sometimes, they can be more of a yellow olive, which might pull a little bit cool. So knowing your undertone is going to be straight up the best thing for you. Now if you're someone and you're having a hard time figuring out your undertone, go neutral. Neutral is the best way to go if you're unsure. Neutral you can always make work. If something is too cool or too warm for you, you can't it's hard to tweak it. But if you just go neutral and you're not sure, you're still trying to figure it out, that is a great way to go. Another way to kind of figure out, you know, what your undertone is, what jewelry looks best on you. So do you tend to wear a lot of silver jewelry, or do you tend to wear a lot of gold jewelry? Now, of course, today is a day where I'm wearing silver, which is very, very least likely of me. However, 9 times out of 10, I am a gold jewelry wearer. My earrings, my necklaces are always gold, with the occasion of just depending on what I'm wearing. If I'm wearing something that's a little bit more grungy, a little bit more edgier, I might do like a silver, or my rings might be silver. But other than that, I feel like gold jewelry looks the best on me 100%. And I feel like if you just walk over to your jewelry box and kind of look at what you have, you will easily be able to tell right away what undertone you are. Next, figure out what price point do you want to stay in. Are you trying to stay in something that's a little bit more affordable? Are you trying to be in the middle? Or do you want something that's a little bit more costly? All of that has a lot to do with what you pick. And then, of course, when it comes to really down to matching yourself, something that I do is, I know a lot of people, they tend to go on the jaw. Me personally, I never go on the jaw. Women of color, we tend to always be at least 2 to 3 different shades. For me, the perimeter of my face is the darkest and the center is the lightest. So if I try to get a foundation just based off of the jaw or the top of my forehead, when I put it on my face, I'm going to look darker to myself. That's just the way it is. I can tell instantly if a foundation is too dark for me, because I always start in the center and blend out. And once I start it in the center and it looks dark, I know that is not my foundation shade. So what I tend to do is I tend to match my foundations more so from the center of my face or my chest, just simply because the chest and the center of my face tend to be the same skin tone. And in my chest, when you look at me, like people, I know a lot of people, they say go with the neck, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like the chest is just more of an accurate, unless you are someone where you can tell like a huge difference from the shade from your neck to your face to your chest, then yes, go with your neck. But for the most part, whenever I look at myself or I'm working on clients, I always go with the chest. Again, if there is that exception where it is just like a totally different color, then I'll have to go off the neck. I always go off the chest or the center of my face, because what's gonna happen is my technique and the way I apply foundation, I always start in the center. So I start the most product in the center and then I blend it out. And always, no matter what, I always bronze the outside of my face. So if it's not a 100% match, that's okay, because the outside of my face is always going to be darker. Whenever I'm working on a client, no matter what their skin tone is, they always get 2 shades with me. You'll get a shade for the center and the outside, just simply because it looks more realistic that way. You know what I mean? I feel like something else that people do wrong is, if you are someone who is going to go for a full coverage foundation and you're going to go for a matte foundation, you best make sure it is as accurate as possible, because what people fail to realize is the more full coverage you get, the more pigmentation is in the product. So therefore, if it's off just a touch, you're going to be able to see it. More so if it's something that's like a medium or sheer or BB cream and it's not quite right, no one's going to notice. But the fuller coverage and the more matte a foundation is, it is really going to show if it is not the right shade. Also, something that people do is just like, I don't know, I'm very, very generous with the amount of the foundation in the center of my face, but as I get to the outside, I tend to just let it fade off a little bit. Have you ever seen someone where they put their foundation on and they're just one-dimensional and it is flat and there is nothing else going on and they look like they have a mask on? Something that you need to make sure you are definitely doing if you are rocking with the full coverage foundation, you have got to make sure you are either bronzing or contouring, because at that point your face is flat and you look kind of weird. It looks a little off. It doesn't look realistic. Now your next question might be, okay Amber, what brand should I go for? Me personally, for my skin tone, you can never go wrong with MAC. MAC offers a ton ton of undertone. Specifically, if you're someone who does have more of a yellow gold and warm undertone, MAC is a great place to start because I feel like a lot of people can find their shade there. Fenty Beauty, you can find your shade. Also, Fenty Beauty is on the matte side, so if you are someone that has dry skin, it might not look the best on you, but if you are someone who has normal to oily skin, Fenty Beauty is great. Shades for days. What else is good? I feel like Makeup Forever is another great option. Cover FX is another great option. Look for brands that offer a variety of foundation shades. That way you are more than likely to pick one, which makes it tricky when you go back over to drugstore foundation. I do not mind drugstore products whatsoever. However, my only issue when you start talking about drugstore foundation is the shade range. It's just very minimal. Alright guys, so those are just my tips for just helping you guys figure out your foundation shade. Let me know if this is helpful down below, and if you have any other tips, make sure you drop those as well. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to my channel so that way you don't miss more videos like these. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.